Hello, my name's Will Frecklington and welcome to my Coaching Children and Young People Screencast. Today I will be providing a critical analysis of the long-term athlete development model. This model was developed by Dr. Ist van Bailey. So, the introduction to the model. The long-term athlete development model, or as I'll be calling it today, the LTAD model, has been used by a number of national governing bodies as a first step and an approach to talent development over the years. This model was chosen due to it being one of the most commonly used models worldwide by NGBs and practitioners alike for the development of children into elite athletes. The age group that I will be specifically relating this to is 13 to 6-year-olds with a particular focus on participation and recreation levels. I've got a reference below from Baquet et al. 2003 who suggests that this age range is a key phase for athletes due to it being an accelerated period of development thanks to puberty. Not only through puberty, but a number of different factors such as the social factors of moving to schools, different relationships with peers, possible boyfriends, girlfriends, and also with sexual identity. So this really makes it a key phase for development. With these points in mind, the following three themes of the LTAD model will be critiqued. Firstly, the emphasis on fun in the teenage years. Secondly, athlete burnout. And finally, holistic development. Moving on to the rationale. Over the past few decades, there have been an increasing number of developmental models in sport detailing an athlete's route to elite sport. Therefore, athlete development models have become an important tool for coaches due to their focus on deliberate practice and as they're easy to break down and they provide a specific focus per age. The LTD model also emphasizes that an athlete has the talent and the drive it can help to achieve an athlete's highest sport performance potential. That's really why it's so important, as it gives a stage-by-stage approach to development. It gives everyone the greatest opportunity, and if they try their hardest, then the LTAD model will help them reach that. Okay, moving on to my first critiqued theme. The first one is emphasis on fun. And specifically a lack of fun for adolescents in the trainings to train stage. I've got a reference here from Falter 2016 who states that in early years swimming activities and many other activities and sports alike, children learn by engaging in a wide range of fun physical sessions. However, when they get older, this is replaced almost entirely by practice, competition and drills. Consequently, I've got a stat here from Kelly and Cartier 2013 that found that 39% of boys and 38% of girls cite a lack of fun as their biggest reason for dropping out. Therefore, there might be a case there for the inclusion of fun in the later stages of the LTAD model, where we see more people drop out. I think that makes sense personally to keep the fun sessions right the way throughout the model. Also, with the early years model, the necessary skills such as agility, balance and coordination are learned and developed through fun activities in order to avoid boredom and increase participation. And I think maybe if you overtrain, then that boredom really sets in towards the later stages. Moving on to that, and expanding on that slightly, we'll be talking about my second theme, which is burnout. Research suggests that tough training can be a reason to cause participants to drop out. However, contrasting research from Abdul Rahman 2017 found that 56% of their school athletes disagreed that tough training was one of the dropout reasons. Does this mean that there might be a disparity between the two groups? Possible reasons for that could be the fact that talent development athletes understand the need to train and are willing to undergo this to become the best they can, whereas perhaps participation users simply play sport with the aim to have fun with their friends. This could be the difference. Also, is there a difference between talent development and the participation users in what they want to gain from sport? That's something that we need to bring into account when we use this model. Okay, moving on to the third and final theme, which is holistic development. Holistic development is defined as a method that focuses on all parts of a person, including physical and mental growth, emotional development, and social development. As you can see from the top picture there, that highlights the 9 key points of holistic development. And I've got a quote here from Wildman, 2004, who states that the teenage years are an especially tough period for athletes, as not only do they have to adjust to a more competitive environment in sport, they also have to deal with their social, mental, physiological, psychosocial, and academic changes too. How does and that poses the question, how does the LTAD model take this into account? Well, not brilliantly. It only uses the chronological age, when, for example, it could use so much more of this holistic development. And I've actually got an example on the right here of a holistically developed model from Reintz, Wildman and Donop 2013, which uses athletic level, psychological level, psychosocial level, academic level, and financial level, and a better holistic outline of a LTAD model. Okay, moving on to the strengths of the LTAD model. It's not all doom and gloom. It is, in fact, a decent model still. For example, it's provided a real rise in the levels of physical literacy. For example, the concept of long-term athlete development is there to promote the importance of lifelong physical activity. So it is giving people the skill they need to pursue a life of physical activity. Okay, moving on to the second strength. It really assists athletes to reach their potential, so the LTAD model can provide an integrated, systematic approach to developing athletes that most athletes are able to reach their potential fully. And that's referenced from Stafford 2005. So, as previously stated, if athletes try the hardest and engage with the model and stick with it, then the vast majority of the time it means that almost all developing athletes can reach their full potential, whether that's at an Olympic level or down to a participation level, that doesn't matter, but the LTAD model helps them to reach their full peak. And moving on to the final strength, it provides a specific focus. So LTAD tries to avoid training models based on just the athlete's chronological age. Although it only uses the chronological age, it instead emphasizes on the importance of trying to modify the training program for the individual. And that's a quote there from XZ Zone. So yeah, whilst it only uses the chronological age, it says not to use it as a one and only fix all kind of procedure. It's really meant to be used on an individual basis, as we'll talk more about on the next slide. Okay, moving on to the weaknesses of the LTAD model. It fails to account for latecomers, so LTAD can have inflexible sections of trainability. For example, the 10,000 hour principle, which research from Tucker 2013 suggests is unnecessary. It can also fail to account for latecomers to sports, so there's not a lot of movement between the sections. So if a latecomer to a sport or a sport in general may struggle to join in at the, for example, learning to train stage, when realistically they're at the active start or the fundamental stage. Burnout is the next weakness. Recent research has been critiquing the LTAD model, especially the training to train stage. Lang et al. 2010 suggests that the risk for young people is that high volume can lead to a variety of problems. And these problems include physical and mental burnout and dropout, as well as squeezing out time for developing athletes' techniques. The final weakness is the use of chronological age. So LTAD uses the performer's chronological age without taking into account the other factors on an individual basis. For example, with my 13 to 16-year-old age range, this, depending on the length and start time of puberty, athletes can be 4 or 5 years apart developmentally in their teenage years. The consequence of this? Well, if you're in a team sport, only a few of the group will reach their optimal performance. On the other hand, those participants who haven't achieved the imposed goal will feel the effects of an insufficient volume of training. And finally, moving on to the conclusion, I believe that this model is still valid, but there's definitely aspects that can be improved upon. For example, I believe that it is largely valid and can still be used for NGBs, practitioners and coaches. However, the issues with it include using chronological age to determine different stages of development. It fails to fully account for participation athletes in the middle stages. There's a lack of emphasis on fun activities after the fundamental stages. So my recommendations for increased visibility would be the use of developmental age during the training to train stage instead of chronological age, using our holistic development. The second one would be develop a bigger focus on the holistic development side of the model. And finally, I would place a bigger emphasis on fun throughout all stages to hopefully combat teenagers dropping out from sport in their teenage years. Thank you very much for watching. These are my references.